It is Sunday, January 7th. I am continuing my Plan As You Go week with my Plan With Me in my Erin Condren Hourly Neutral planner from the 8th of January 2018 through the 14th. I will be posting my bullet journal update tomorrow when I update my setup, and that's what I do on Mondays. Generally on Sundays, unless it's a really busy work day, I don't tend to spend a lot of time with my bullet journal because I'm just running, I do my challenges, things like that, but most of the things are just kind of put to the side because Sundays tend to be really hectic with church and so on and so forth. It's raining in California, and I know some of you are buried under the, whatever it is, the bomb cyclone or whatever it's called, and I hope if you're in that kind of weather that you are taking care of yourself and that you have heat and food and all the things. Just grab some of these blue washi tapes. I'm not using a sticker kit or anything this week. And the first thing that I want to do is run some washi across the top and then in various other spots. So we're gonna do some washi running. And this, for those of you who have not been watching my videos for that long, that I use to cut my washi tape, is an angled palette knife from Michaels. It's from the artist section. The brand is Artist Loft, and it's usually like, I don't know, $3 or $4. I just freaking did not like what I did, and I ruined everything for no goddamn reason. Sometimes the pursuit of alleged perfection is tiresome and not worth the pain. That is your random esoteric wisdom from me for the day. I'm gonna put the weather up above this week in this spot instead of having a to-do list up there. I kind of like how the rain looks with the clouds. I think it looks kind of neat. I like that little setup, so we'll repeat it for the other side. Damn it, tore the paper, balls in my mouth. It's happened like twice already. These washi tapes are just not agreeing with the paper. Pretty sure this skinny washi came from Michaels, and I love how it fits almost perfectly inside one of these lines. The rain washi came from a Bye Bye Birdies co-op purchase a long time ago, I'm pretty sure. Cloud washi with the silver foil is from Simply Gilded. I generally put my weather in through Thursday because then by the midweek, the weather predictions change a little bit. So like this week, I'm going to use an 03 Tombow mono drawing pen for my planner because I wanted to take a break from the ultrafine flare I've been using lately. Generally, I write my meal plans Friday through Thursday because it's when I have my kids. And this one, I have Friday figured out too because I'm driving the kids most likely to a retreat this weekend. I need to mark an additional kind of running situation here. I'm gonna use this washi for my kids because they're gonna be at a retreat all weekend. Whoops. Oh, I hate it when washi does that. PS. Makes me so cranky. So I think what I'm going to do this week, which is what I do most weeks, but I'm going to kind of specifically do it this week, is since I have appointments, I'm just going to kind of move down through the week and add some shit in. And we'll start with Monday morning. I actually have a smog check, the one that has been on my list to take care of for who knows how long. I have to go basically right after the kids are in school. And that is not straight. Holy shit. I didn't tear the paper that time. Either that is an omen of goodness or an omen of hold my beer. I'm not sure yet. And these are like Christian Design stickers I'm using right now. Here's a little car, and I'm just gonna write in smog check. This pen that I usually use on stickers like Christian Designs, like the vinyl-y ones, is a Sakura Micro Perm 03, by the way. That is the only specific appointment I have tomorrow. The only thing I want to mark in at the beginning of the week right here as well is I'm going to take one of these teal watercolor, like little oval situations. Come on. So I can mark that this is a Plan As You Go week, and I'm going to be filming all week as I have been. It's actually a Plan As You Go month. I just keep referring to it as week because I don't know why. But to remind me that every day I'll be posting a video showing my planning process. I swear, one of my favorite things I do in my planners, whether it's on the weekly spreads or on the monthly spreads, is the usage of washi tape to denote periods of time. I'm going to do it again right down here when I mark that my children are going to the retreat. But I just love using washi tape to show like an extended period of time, whether it is throughout the week used horizontally like this, or vertically to mark a whole bunch of time during the day. The more I look at this, the more crooked it is. Oh, fuck. And I knew it. It was going to tear the paper. The moment that I needed to mess with it again for the second time, it's okay. That time it's better. And I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it. On Tuesday night, we're celebrating my daughter's belated birthday. On this little sampler from Once More with Love, there's a little birthday munchkin. I'm going to slap that on there because this is going to be the belated celebration of my daughter turning 14. We're going to a sushi restaurant because it's what she wanted for her birthday dinner. On Wednesday, I actually have a couple of things happening. I have a meeting at 1, and then my husband has band practice. I'm going to use this blue sticker right here for band practice and grab a Once More with Love music munchkin, which are some of my favorite of her munchkins. I'm going to take this little teal box because it's bound to be a couple of hours worth of meeting. I think I'm going to use this little piggy bank icon because it is actually, even though the meeting is not for my personal finances, it is for my church finance committee meeting. I guess, well, I'm moving to my next thing, which is Thursday, where I've got a meeting at 7 p.m. and I have something I need to get done that day, which I'm going to add up here at the top. I might as well just tell you a little bit about my church because that's a question I get asked a lot, especially this last week as I was getting ready to write a sermon that I gave today, the day I'm filming this, Sunday. I am going to use this little exclamation point sticker right here and use that because I need to email the preliminary agenda for the board meeting the following week out that day to all the peeps. So I'm a Unitarian Universalist. Kind of our outlook on things is that we don't necessarily have a dogma. We don't teach people what to believe. It's more about the search for meaning and living life according to our principles and our values and finding spiritual connections, but recognizing that that looks different for different people. So there are people who are UU who identify as Christian. There are people who are UU who identify as humanist or atheist, which I am one of them. And there are UUs who identify as Buddhists, as pagans, as Jewish. It's a lot of multi-faith families where like the person is one faith and the other person is another. And if they find that they can't reconcile that by their individual churches, a lot of times they'll find their way over to the UUs to have that as kind of the compromise in the middle. This is for a stewardship meeting that I have on Thursday night. So that is the church I am at. And I am not a minister. I am currently board president, but I do from time to time give sermons as a lay leader because I like it. I like public speaking. I have subjects I am passionate about, which is how I decide what topics I'm going to do. And usually it's just been like offering up to the worship committee. I have an idea for a sermon and they are like, okay, it might work really well on this day. And then I do that. The one I gave this last weekend was a little different. It was about stewardship and giving and looking forward at our congregation because we are in the middle of a transition. And so looking at what that next step might look like. And as board president, it felt appropriate that I be the one who give that sermon. I have a meeting on Friday morning. I'm going back and forth between yammering and putting shit in my planner. So if that's confusing, I apologize because I'm actually surprised I haven't lost my train of thought completely yet. So where do I get sermon ideas? It just depends. Some of the sermons I've given in the past have been on classism, on Black Lives Matter, on parenting and the challenges that come with being a parent in the digital age. 9 a.m. Oh my God. Oh well, whatever. I don't care. It's just whatever I feel like called, or I guess, to do in the moment. I don't know who's picking up yet, so I'm not sure if I'm carpooling for the pickup yet. I'm not going to write that down yet, but I have a patron hangout on Saturday night. And then finally for Sunday, it's church, as we've been talking about. I guess ultimately what this boils down to in terms of me and church, because then the other question I get, there's the question of tell me about your church, which I just kind of did. The other thing is that gets brought up fairly often, especially in this last week as I was in the process of writing my fucking sermon, was what do people at church think of my language? So this really boils down to two sort of separate issues. One, the idea that your language, if you have a potty mouth, it makes you a bad person. Not that I'm saying people are accusing me of that, although that has happened. I don't think is the case. How I have always emphasized it to the kids is that, are you using them to hurt people? Is your intention to hurt people? Are you using words that are derogatory? Are you using them to be a butthole? I'm not concerned if you use a word that is profanity when it comes to like shit, which is a euphemism for poop, or fuck, which is euphemism for sex. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with poop or sex. Everybody does it, or most people do it in some form or another. But I am more concerned with words that are used to be bullying or to be hateful or to be mean. No, I don't consider myself a bad person because I have a potty mouth. And at church, generally speaking, I try to not, go full ham. I grabbed this smiley face Steve to commemorate school being back. RJ is like, no, I don't appreciate that. But you know what? I do. If somebody drops the fuck bomb on the regular, to me, that does not make them a bad person. I try my hardest when I'm in church or in other settings that could be deemed inappropriate to moderate my language, although I'm not always great at that. I've done that at church. I've done that when I was the president of the parent club board at my kid's school. Did my best. It's not because I think I'm a bad person. It's because that's not the most appropriate place for bad language, or for bad is not even the right word, for profanity, which is basically how you would consider it. That's why I do it. Not because I'm like, oh, I need to censor myself because people might be offended. It just isn't the right appropriate place. Does that mean I am ashamed of my mouth? Absolutely not. I am totally fine with the language I use. And if I accidentally slip and drop the F-bomb in front of somebody and they're like, oh, I can't believe you did that. Well, you know what? I'm not going to apologize for being who I am. I'm very proud of who I am. I'm very happy with who I am. When it comes to the time I put in at my church as president, giving sermons, blah, 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 I am very, very proud of myself for the work I put in there, the time I put in there, the effort I put in there. And I've given a lot of myself, especially this past 6 months as board president. I have had to give a lot of myself to the congregation as we have been very much in a time of transition and losing a minister and everything else. I do not think at all that the fact that I say fuck all the time, that my fucking mouth makes me a bad fucking person, or that my fucking mouth means that I am not a great asset to our church. It just means that my language is a little flavorful and that sometimes I need to be a little aware that it's not always appreciated by people, while at the same time remembering that ultimately the only person who I really need to be accountable to in terms of how do I feel like I am as a person is to myself. And that's what I try and do for the sake of my own sanity and for those questions that tend to pop up when you start getting stressed out or worrying about what people think of you. I'm putting this week sticker down for my to-do list for this week because that makes sense. I'm going to migrate over some tasks from the previous week that didn't get finished. I haven't quite sat with my bullet journal and taken stock of everything else that needs to be accomplished this week. But carpool situation, got to figure that out. I hope that my little ramble about my church and my thoughts on my language did not bore or distress any of you. Like, trust me when I say that I don't consider my language to be a deterrent or a knock upon the faith that I have in people and in myself and in my church community, as much as it just is part of who I am. When I say something like write my fucking sermon, that doesn't mean I'm disrespecting my sermon. It's that sitting down for 4 hours and writing a sermon especially about a subject that I'm a little uncomfortable with, which today's sermon was about money, which I am very uncomfortable talking about, and I had to do a sermon talking to the whole congregation about money. So yeah, writing my fucking sermon, that's exactly how I felt when it came to writing it. And I am always honest with myself, with my planners, and with you guys, because this platform, YouTube, my Instagram, these are where I am myself. And that's kind of what you get. And I'm not going to change who I am to get more views or more subscribers or anything like that. That's just not my style. And now I'm going to get off my soapbox. This is where my planner is at. Tomorrow I will do my bullet journal setup, and I will check in slightly to show you just a bit to show you how I fill Monday out. You'll continue this whole month seeing how I use my planners together. When I do a plan with me, this is what you wind up with, because I don't cover my planner. I'll puke stickers all over it at the beginning of the week. It gets built. This is kind of what this looked like last week before I started working my way back to you, babe. What is the weather like where you live? Are you getting some rain? Are you buried under snow? Are you in the southern hemisphere and you're like, fuck yeah, summertime? Because it's always interesting to me to see the kind of the contrast in how people feel. Like in California, it's 60 degrees and raining, and we're all with like sweaters, you know, and elsewhere on the East Coast, it's balls cold. So it's curious to me. It's always an interesting sort of conversation to kind of see what the weather is like in different parts of the world. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.